cold wind swept through the fractured pavement of an abandoned roadway, bringing with it echoes of shattered hopes and forgotten vows. At the boundary of emptiness sat a corroded, ivy-covered service station, its fuel dispensers locked in yesterday, its weathered sign dangling precariously, and before it stood a figure whose existence appeared as damaged as the structure behind him. His frame bore the unseen burden of combat, his gaze dimmed by recollections that wouldn't retreat. He'd returned home a soldier, though hardly triumphant. He'd returned bearing wounds nobody could witness, enduring evenings filled with quiet interrupted only by the cries echoing in his mind. And now existence had delivered him one final token of his hollowness. A legacy he'd never wanted. An aging, deteriorating service station reeking of petroleum, grime, and defeat. If you're viewing this content and have faith in compassion, fresh starts, and the strength of surprising blessings, please pause to hit like, share your thoughts, comment below, and follow Loyal Hearts. Tales such as these show us that even within the bleakest spaces, hope can still emerge. There he remained, gazing at the facility, his hands clenching and releasing, attempting to inhale through the suffocating stillness. Everything he witnessed was merely another weight, another sign that he possessed nothing and nobody remaining. Yet suddenly a noise pierced the void, a soft cry, ragged but filled with hope. From beyond a stack of weathered containers beside the station, a canine appeared, its bones visible beneath its coat, its expression tired yet sparkling with faith. The wandering animal approached carefully toward him, its tail drooping but moving as though it sensed something wounded in the man's spirit that reflected its own condition. The former soldier, toughened by countless losses, felt uncertain how to respond. He'd never intended to care for anything ever again. However, the dog positioned itself at his boots as if its choice was already made. This would be sanctuary, and this would be its human. Weeks followed days. The pair established a peaceful routine. The service station transformed into a refuge built not on optimism, but on endurance. He mended shattered glass with salvaged timber, cleared debris from the ground, and restored whatever seemed possible, though his spirit stayed frozen. The canine, nevertheless, appeared committed to breathing vitality into the wreckage. It welcomed the dawn with barks, pursued Gus across the broken concrete, and rested its muzzle against the veteran's leg whenever his hands shook with battlefield flashbacks. Gradually, the quietness started feeling less crushing. Gradually, he started living once more. Yet staying alive proved challenging. The abandoned station generated zero income. His funds vanished rapidly, and each evening he questioned whether tomorrow would bring only outstanding bills and hopelessness. The neighboring community viewed him as just another damaged person, retreating from reality, another individual with nothing valuable to contribute. Still, despite everything, the dog remained faithful, alert, almost as if anticipating something special. Then arrived the moment when everything transformed. It began ordinarily enough. Morning light filtering through fractured windows, Gus shaking the tin roofing. The dog, agitated that dawn, howled frantically behind the station. Initially, he dismissed it, thinking it had spotted another small animal to pursue. But the howling became desperate, insistent. The former soldier investigated, observing as the dog scraped at the thick vegetation and soil around the base. Interest replaced weariness, and he retrieved a rusty spade, assisting the dog's excavation. Time passed, perspiration streaming down his cheeks until the tool contacted something firm. Metal, frigid, solid, and buried far below. Pulse racing, he removed the earth. What surfaced wasn't debris, but a steel entrance sealed tight with corrosion. The veteran's grip wavered as he pried it apart, the grinding of metal resonating like a voice from history. Beyond lay a narrow stairway, descending into blackness. He paused, breathing rapidly, but the dog ventured ahead, tail swishing, encouraging him onward. And so, united, they climbed down into the hidden depths below the station. Their discovery exceeded all possibilities. A secret room extended under the station, packed with aged containers, paperwork, and lines of secured vaults. The atmosphere was heavy with particles, but the subtle shine of gold ingots piled in corners was unmistakable. Canvases covered in cloth rested along the walls, their borders suggesting invaluable artwork. Stacks of currency untouched for generations sat arranged like abandoned remnants of a different era. Bewilderment, incredulity, and terror fought inside him. Yet the deeper he explored, the clearer the reality became. This wasn't any typical inheritance. This represented a concealed fortune, a treasure beyond his wildest imagination. Subsequently, while examining the paperwork, he discovered its worth approached $200 million. However, it wasn't merely the riches that amazed him. It was the history within it. The station had previously been owned by an old combat companion of his deceased uncle, someone who had secretly stored his fortune from dishonest associates and entrusted the land to family descendants. Decades passed, yet the secret stayed hidden until a wounded veteran and a homeless dog revealed it. Still, even surrounded by wealth, the veteran felt no victory. He experienced something more meaningful: direction. For the first time in years, he recognized not simply what existence had stolen, but what it might provide. He reinvested the funds into the neglected community, renovating houses, reconstructing enterprises, and establishing havens for veterans who had traveled the same isolated path he once walked. The service station evolved beyond an old ruin. It became a symbol of hope, a destination where individuals arrived not seeking fuel, but searching for new beginnings. And beside him constantly was the dog who had guided him to everything, his devoted friend, his rescuer, his motivation to continue forward. The veteran had received more than a service station and a stray animal. He had received a lesson that even damaged lives can discover restoration. Even forgotten souls can find belonging. And sometimes the smallest friends reveal the most precious gifts. If this narrative moved you, please like, comment, share, and follow Loyal Hearts. Every tale we share holds the potential to spark kindness, bravery, and faith in miracles. Before we conclude, I want to pose this question. What would you have chosen if you were the person who discovered that $200 million secret? Share your perspectives in the comments. I'm eager to hear them. And thus, in the gentle sound of the open highway, beneath the infinite expanse of heavens, a broken veteran and his faithful dog stood no longer within the darkness of their history, but within the brightness of a tomorrow worth embracing.